What's good, YouTube? Sensational Sincere here, and I'm back with another Tom Clancy's The Division Vendor Reset video. We're here for March 27th, 2020's Vendor Reset. So let's get right into this and see what we got good for this week. Okay, so for our first gear items, we're going to head over to Camp Hudson. Here, the weapons vendor has an M700 Tactical with a gear score of 263. It has 167% headshot damage, and the talents it has is ferocious, harmful, and elevated. For our next gear items, we're still at Camp Hudson, and the gear vendor here has a tactical Mast with the talent refreshed on there. It has a gear score of 260. The armor is 891. Its roll for electronics 1119, and the attributes it has is health on kill and burn resistance. For our next gear items, you want to head over to the base operations. Here, the Dark Zone gear vendor has a prototype firearms mod with 247 firearms and 3% skill haste. For our next gear items, we're still at the base operations, and the gear vendor here has a prototype stamina mod with 248 stamina and 2.50% exotic damage resilience. For our next gear items, we're still at the base operations. Head over to the advanced weaponry vendor, and here we got a Solcom MK20 SSR with a gear score of 277. It has 165% headshot damage, and the talents it has is Unforgiven, Trained, and Vicious. Me personally, I never run Unforgiven and Vicious on the same weapon, but I figured I'd mention it. Also, here we got an extended magazine with 117% magazine size, 3% crit hit chance, and 4.50% reload speed. Also, here we got a Bx1 Scope with 17% headshot damage, 5% optimal range, and 2.50% stability. For our next gear items, we're still at the base operations. Head over to the special equipment vendor, and here we got a Pecan. If you like to run this weapon, it has a gear score of 279. It has 21% damage to targets out of cover, and the talents it has is Ferocious, Prepared, and Pecan. Also, here we got a Cassidy with a gear score of 263. It has 328.50% stagger, and the talents it has is Adept, Determined, and Boomstick. Also, here we got an AUG A3 Para XS with a gear score of 268. It has 20% crit hit chance, and the talents this has is Determined, Fierce, and Ferocious. Also, here we got a Police M4 with a gear score of 264. It has 19% enemy armor damage, and the talents this has is Sustained, Fierce, and Unforgiven. Also, here we got a Military M870 with a gear score of 271. It has 352% stagger, and the talents this has is Competent, Deadly, and Adept. Also, here we got a custom L86A2 with a gear score of 278. It has 20% damage to targets out of cover, and the talents this has is Meticulous, Deadly, and Prepared. Also, here we got a tactical Mast with the talent refreshed on there. It has a gear score of 267. The armor is 881. Its roll for stamina 1139, and the attributes this has is all resistance and disorienting resistance. Also, here we got an operator pack with the talent specialized on there. It has a gear score of 272. The armor is 1203. Its roll for stamina 1239. And the attributes this has is health and disrupt resistance. Also, here we got some Gunslinger Gloves with the talent Savaged on there. It has a gear score of 279. The armor is 987. Its roll for Firearms 1216. And the attributes this has is shotgun damage, crit hit chance, and pistol damage. Also, here we got a prototype electronics mod with 244 electronics and 1% crit hit chance. Also, here we got a prototype performance mod with 3.50% sticky bomb damage. Also, here we got a heavy magazine spring with 5% reload speed, 4% crit hit damage, and 11.20% rate of fire. Also, here we got Omega rifle suppressor with 18.50% headshot damage, 2% accuracy, and 4.50% optimal range. For our next gear items, we're still at the base operations. Head over to the special blueprints vendor, and in here we got a firearms vest blueprint with a gear score of 256. For our next gear items, you want to head over to Kermit Station. Here, the weapons vendor has a Lova C with a gear score of 283. It has 23% enemy armor damage, and the talents we got on this is Unforgiven, Predatory, and Competent. For our next gear items, you want to head over to Camp Clinton. Here, the special equipment vendor has a Cassidy with a gear score of 260. It has 295% stagger, and the talents we have on this is Self-Preserved, Responsive, and Boomstick. Also, here we got a Historian with a gear score of 269. It has 168% headshot damage, and the talents this has is Brutal, Unforgiven, and Historian repeats. Also, here we got a Liberator with a gear score of 265. It has 22% enemy armor damage, and the talents this has is Focused, Ferocious, and Prepared. Also, here we got a Pecan with a gear score of 270. It has 22% damage to targets out of cover. And the talents this has is Fierce, Accurate, and Pecan. Also here we got a Tactical ACR with a gear score of 262. It has 20% enemy armor damage. And the talents this has is Meticulous, Destructive, and Ferocious. Also here we got an Operator Mast with the talent Refreshed on there. It has a gear score of 269. The armor is 859. This roll for Stamina 1208. And the attributes this has is Health on Kill and Burn Resistance. Also here we got a Spec Ops armor with the talent Vigorous on there. It has a gear score of 274. The armor is 1998. This roll for Firearms 1139. And the attributes this has is Health, Exotic Damage Resilience, and Increased Kill XP. Also here we got a Tactical Pack with the talent Relentless on there. It has a gear score of 268. The armor is 1219. This roll for Stamina 1189. And the attributes we got here is crit hit damage and bleed resistance. And also here we got a reflex sight with 7.50% crit hit chance, 2.50 stability, and 4% crit hit damage. For our next gear items, we're still at Camp Clinton, and here the Special Blueprints vendor has a Firearms Mast blueprint with a gear score of 256. For our next gear items, we're going to head over to Dante's Run. Here the gear vendor has a prototype performance mod with 2% post crit hit chance. For our next gear items, we're going to head over to Wolves Den. Here the weapons vendor has a Surplus SVD with a gear score of 270. It has 151% headshot damage, and the talents this has is Deadly, Toxic, and Disciplined. For our next gear items, we're going to head over to Autumn's Hope. Here the gear vendor has a prototype performance mod with 3.50% sticky bomb damage. For our next gear items, we're going to head over to the Last Call. Here the weapons vendor has a Solcom MK20 SSR with a gear score of 276. It has 161% headshot damage, and the talents this has is Prepared, Competent, and Meticulous. For our next gear items, you want to head over to the Southpaw. Here the gear vendor has a Tactical Pack with the talent Specialized on there. It has a gear score of 273. The armor is 1264. This roll for electronics 1222. And the attributes we got here is Health and Bleed Resistance. For our next gear items, you want to head over to the Grindhouse. Here the weapons vendor has a Military Scar H with a gear score of 262. It has 157% headshot damage. And the talents this has is Fierce, Commanding, and Adept. For our next gear items, we're going to head over to the Crypt. Here the weapons vendor has a Tactical MK16 with a gear score of 279. It has 21% enemy armor damage. The talents this has is Competent, Unforgiving, and Destructive. For our next gear items, we're going to head over to West 31st Street Checkpoint. Here the Dark Zone vendor has a Tactical Vest with the talent Rapid on there. It has a gear score of 270. The armor is 1873. This roll for Stamina 1158. And the attributes this has is Skill Haste, Exotic Damage Resilience, and Ammo Capacity. Also here we got a prototype Stamina mod with 251 Stamina and 3077 Skill Power. For our next gear items, we want to head over to West 34th Street Checkpoint. Here the Dark Zone vendor has a Solcom M1A with a gear score of 282. It has 164% headshot damage, and the talents this has is Fierce, Vicious, and Prepared. And also here we got a prototype performance mod with 5% support station healing speed. For our next gear items, you want to head over to West 42nd Street Checkpoint. Here the Dark Zone vendor has a Military L86 LSW with a gear score of 274. It has 19% damage to targets out of cover, and the talents this has is Unforgiving, Fierce, and Dominant. And also here we got a prototype performance mod with 3.50% ballistic shield damage. For our next gear items, we want to head over to West 53rd Street Checkpoint. Here the Dark Zone vendor has a prototype performance mod with 6.50% ballistic shield health, and also we got here a heavy magazine spring with 4.50% reload speed, 12% magazine size, and 9.80% rate of fire. For our next gear items, we're going to head over to East 61st Street Checkpoint. Here the Dark Zone weapon mod vendor has a heavy magazine spring with 11.50% magazine size, 3% crit hit chance, and 9.40% rate of fire. And also here we got a 5.52 hollow sight with 7% crit hit chance, 4% crit hit damage, and 2.50% stability. For our next gear items, we're going to head over to East 58th Street Checkpoint. Here the Dark Zone gear vendor has an Operator Pack with the talent Specialized on there. It has a gear score of 272. The armor is 1256. This roll for Firearms 1247. And the attributes this has is Skill Power and Disrupt Resistance. For our next gear items, we're going to head over to the Park Ave Checkpoint. Here the Dark Zone weapons vendor has a Police MK17 with a gear score of 273. It has 162% headshot damage, And the talent says guide is trained, competent, and fierce. For our next gear items, you want to head over to East 53rd Street checkpoint. Here, the Dark Zone vendor has a tactical pack with the talent Relentless on there. It has a gear score of 266. The armor is 1,154. Its roll for stamina 1,227. And the attributes this has is crit damage and burn resistance. For our next gear items, you want to head over to East 46th Street checkpoint. Here, the Dark Zone vendor has a classic M44 Carbine with a gear score of 283. It has 171% headshot damage. And the talents this has is trained, brutal, and disciplined. And also here we got a prototype stamina mod with 262 stamina and 3,333 health. And also here we got a loud vent break with 17% crit hit damage, 2% accuracy, and 4.50% optimal range. For our next gear items, you want to head over to East 40th Street checkpoint. Here the Dark Zone vendor has an operator vest with the talent Rapid on there. It has a gear score of 278. The armor is 1,947. Its roll for electronics 1,208. And the attributes this has is exotic damage resilience, enemy armor damage, and ammo capacity. And also here we got a heavy magazine spring with 4% crit hit damage, 2.50% crit hit chance, and 9.70% rate of fire. For our next gear items, we're going to head over to East 34th Street checkpoint. Here the Dark Zone vendor has a tactical pack with the talent Relentless on there. It has a gear score of 274. The armor is 1,280. Its roll for electronics 1,272. And the attributes it has is crit damage and burn resistance. For our next gear items, we're going to head over to East 31st Street checkpoint. Here the Dark Zone vendor has a Spec Ops Pack with the talent Relentless on there. It has a gear score of 269. The armor is 1,259. Its roll for stamina 1,184. And the attributes it has is stability and disrupt resistance. And then also here we got a prototype performance mod with 6% first aid self-heal. For our next gear items, we're going to head over to the 5th Ave checkpoint. Here the Dark Zone vendor has an operator pack with the talent Relentless on there. It has a gear score of 268. The armor is 1,225. Its roll for firearms 1,188. And the attributes it has is crit damage and burn resistance. For our next gear items, you're going to head over to DZ2 Safe Room. Here the Dark Zone gear vendor has an operator mask with the talent Enduring on there. It has a gear score of 274. The armor is 896. Its roll for stamina 1,264. And the attributes this has is crit chance and increased kill XP. Also here we got a Spec Ops armor with the talent Reckless on there. It has a gear score of 268. The armor is 1,777. Its roll for electronics 1,252. And the attributes this has is health on kill, exotic damage resilience, and increased kill XP. For our next gear items, you want to head over to DZ3 Safe Room. Here the Dark Zone weapons vendor has a military L86 LSW with a gear score of 270. It has 21% damage to targets out of cover. And the talents this has is commanding, deadly, and vicious. For our next gear items, you want to head over to DZ4 Safe Room. Here the Dark Zone gear mod vendor has a prototype performance mod with 5% first aid ally heal. For our next gear items, you want to head over to DZ8 Safe Room. Here the Dark Zone gear vendor has a Spec Ops armor with the talent Reckless on there. It has a gear score of 269. The armor is 1,786. Its roll for electronics 1,204. And the attributes this has is health on kill, health, and increased kill XP. For our next gear items, you want to head over to DZ9 Safe Room. Here the Dark Zone weapon mod vendor has an extended magazine with 110.50% magazine size, 4% crit damage, and 5% reload speed. Alright everybody, that's it for our Tom Clancy's The Division vendor reset video for March 27th, 2020's vendor reset. I hope everybody who tuned into it found them something that they needed. If you hadn't smashed that like button, if you also hadn't hit that subscribe button to the channel, I appreciate that support. Everyone stay safe out there, y'all, and I will see y'all with the next one. Take care, peace.